Hey, you. Welcome back to the channel. And guys, today we want to talk Star Trek Discovery, Episode 6, title Lethe. And from what I know about the title, after doing a little bit of research online, Lethe seems to be related to Greek mythology, a river in Greek mythology where people would drink from and forget, if I'm not mistaken. So this river of forgetfulness. So let's try to see if we can parallel some of what we got in this week's episode with that title, how it relates. And I want to say going into this, guys, probably the best episode for me of the season. Um, this episode and last week's episode probably the strongest in my opinion. And I'm not sure why Star Trek Discovery has chosen to have, a lot of what I thought were unnecessary episodes. I understand that after Brian Fuller left, there were some problems with the stories and various things, and a lot of various information going around online about what happened. But so far, I did like those two episodes. The first two were acceptable episodes for me. So I think Star Trek Discovery would have been a lot better received had maybe we got those first two episodes and then probably got something like last week's episode and this week's episode. And to try to fill in the gaps, fill us in, maybe it would have been a good idea to have Commander Burnham reflect back on some of the events and they just kind of move the story forward. I don't think a lot of what we've gotten up to this point has, done anything personally for me. But this week's episode did a lot of things right. Uh, we got to see Ambassador Sarek, his story move along, uh, and how Commander Burnham related to uh, growing up having Ambassador Sarek basically as her father, Spock's mom, and a brother Spock. And so we got a lot of information we didn't know about uh, the Vulcan family or the very interesting multicultural uh, family that Surik, as ambassador to Earth, uh, had created for himself. And um, very interesting opening scene we get on Vulcan with Surik basically almost being assassinated, Vulcan zealot, uh, kind of this zealot to this ideology about the contamination of the Vulcan culture. And so, been a lot of, not so well received fans that just don't like the nature of how Vulcans are being portrayed. There seems to be inconsistencies with Vulcans as we know them, and I can agree with several of some of their concerns, and I will clarify some of the things that I see where they're coming from. Some of the things I personally don't like myself, but we clearly get to see Sarek uh, telling what seems to be a lie back to Burnham. We know through the episode we got to see him uh, faced with a interesting ultimatum from the Vulcan Academy that they weren't very much open to this various multicultural expansion and that he could allow one outsider in. He already had a half human son, we know it's Spock, and now Commander Burnham, his kind of adopted daughter, full human, both with the mental aptitude to enter what seems to be like the Vulcan Scientific Academy. I could be wrong, but maybe it was a wing of that, a part of that. And so, we find out very interesting that Commander Burnham, who thought she had failed not being a Vulcan, was very much capable, but the Vulcans, in this weird way, blocked her anyway. And a lot of people find this very weird with the Vulcan culture. They find these type actions kind of illogical, in a in a sense, and getting back to the lion part, just kind of found that weird. With a lot of what we got with Vulcans. From Spock's perspective, lying was incapable by Vulcans, but great degrees of exaggeration was acceptable. So, but this clearly seems like a lie that was a well executed one at that. So there, a lot of people have trouble with that. Another thing is the Contra. We got a lot of that Contra thing where Sarek can communicate across light years to Burnham. And who needs subspace communications when you got that ability? But this large degree of mysticism, if you will, a lot of people just weren't well received to that. I would have preferred they kept it like in the old series, but hey, it's we're getting we're learning more things about quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement. I'm just gonna go with it and not focus on it too much. But we got where Sarek was almost assassinated, and he's able to use this to communicate with Burnham, and as she's engaging inside his mind, we're seeing that at the near brink of death, Sarek is basically reflecting on past situations, or the event rather that happened with Commander Burnham and his, he lies about it. And he's trying to keep her out of his mind because he doesn't want her to see that, even at the expense of his own death. And she, and so it's kind of symbolically, created where he's doing this kind of Vulcan martial arts, and creating this representation of keeping or setting up defenses to keep Burnham out of his mind. But she, as we got to see, she gets in and she learns the truth, and she learns that she was good enough to be accepted, but there was only one spot open, and Sarek didn't want to pass up his biological child, his only son, for Burnham. Um, and when he finally lets her in, she's able to save Sarek. Uh, and really, really, with a few things that I didn't like. Overall, I thought the story was pretty good, and I was entertained by it. And probably for the first time in this whole series, I did feel it did feel more Star Trek like to me, and I think that's very important. I also like um, James Fran, I believe his name is, who plays Sarek. I've seen him in many things, and I thought he was a perfect acting choice for Sarek. I have liked him as Sarek up to the point where the writers have done a lot of various things with the Vulcans that he has to obviously adhere to and go with. But if they didn't bother with those particular things, James Fran makes an excellent younger Sarek. They couldn't have picked a more perfect actor, and about 90% of what he's done for me has been great. Um, Now Ash, we get Ash and Captain Lorca as well, and they're bonding. It seems, Captain Lorca really likes Ash. He's looking for militant, capable people. This is what he needs on his ship right now, as they're in war. He needs capable warriors. But the issue is, seems to be a rumor floating all around online due to some earlier casting releases where they show this particular actor playing a Klingon. So a lot of people are saying, okay, they were so easily escaped the Klingon prison. It was so easy. And there is this scene where they're able to defeat these Klingons. And I'm like wondering, I'm like, okay, and Harry Mudd goes in the jail cell. I didn't know you guys could do that, but I just thought it was kind of weird how effective Captain Lorca was able to take down a Klingon. I would have thought it was a lot more difficult to take down a Klingon. And Ash, they both take these Klingons out and escape. I mean, it's just, I mean, they escape so easy that the rumors seem to be connecting a lot that Ash maybe Vought, the Klingon that we've encountered earlier, and or who's the light bearer, the albino Klingon, and so that's a very interesting theory. But his military capabilities does seem to maybe somewhat support that. How do I feel about that? I think that'll be very interesting. Very interesting that he was able to turn human and infiltrate the Enterprise. It would make a lot of sense that they want to get a spy aboard Discovery to get the information. It makes a lot of sense in that regard. And so if that's the story, I think that'd be very interesting. But anyway, he also kind of bonds with both Lorca and Burnham. So he's making pretty good headway there if he is a Klingon spy. And, you know, uh, Lorca, we get to learn more about him. I've been intrigued with Lorca's storyline from the beginning, and it's kind of weird because we're supposed to see everything from the perspective of Commander Burnham and how she's viewing it. But when we switch over to Lorca, he has these very strong, powerful storylines, and I like what they've done with the character of Captain Lorca. He's at points, and they've kind of been hitting on this all along, but Lorca, we get to learn he's kind of got this PTSD thing going on still, and they want to take the ship from him. But Lorca's kind of really this great character. And I remember I was saying in earlier reviews and, before Star Trek Discovery aired that I wanted them to go with the storyline of Captain Garth Iser, and I thought Jason Isaacs would be better at playing Captain Garth Isaac would have been a perfect choice. But Jason Isaacs, the reality is with him as an actor is he is just a good dark gray non-hero anti-hero character. He's just he's at his best when he's that. And for him to be the hero, chivalrous, gallant captain, it's just not his strong point. So the fact that his story moves into these challenges, I think they do a great job with that. That's where his strength lies. And we see he's making dark choices. One of his best friends here, the Admiral's in trouble as she tries to fulfill the negotiations that Sarek originally was setting out to do. And she's basically, held hostage by these Klingons and everybody's killed. And Captain Lorca doesn't go after her, although he would have disobeyed orders. And just interesting, if these two ever meet up, I'm sure she's going to kind of tie that together if she survives, and that he made a choice, uh, and it was based on her decision to have him removed. So that was all very interesting, guys. I did like this episode. I will say it was the best for me of the season so far. It was the strongest written, strongest character driven for me so far. And did leave out the science officer, and that guy's name I think it's Sands or Sansky or something like that. But they keep hinting at him not being himself, and that he might be from the mirror universe or the alternate universe where he has this doppelganger, and he may have switched place because now all of a sudden he's this exciting, kind of cool, laid back person, and we knew he was the very anal retentive, very this very non-likable, non-personality type person. And now he's all of a sudden he's just everything's cool and he's great. And so it's clear that that's what's going on there. But anyway, guys, tell me if you like this episode, if you kind of in agreement with me that these episodes are getting better. I hate that it's taken so many, but it is 17 episodes, so they do got a lot of opportunities here to get it together real quick. I did hear that they have been renewed for a season 2. Very interesting, as these shows are very expensive to make. I guess it's created enough buzz and excitement to get a season 2. And maybe by the end of this season, they would have gotten this together so good that going into season 2 is a good thing. I have, on rare occasions, seen a series able to turn things around and really, get viewership up and get people excited. Doesn't happen very often, but it's not impossible. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.